Greetings, my friend.
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video, I'm going to be talking... No, I'm not going to do it. I won't do it.
Do it.
No, and you can't make me.
There. Change the channel.
Whoa, okay, fine.
What's that?
I'll do it, you sadistic son of a bitch.
Oh my God!
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video, I'm being forced to talk about the 2005 fantasy comedy film, Son of the Mask.
Nobody is forcing you to do anything. You brought this on yourself.
It's the sequel to the 1994 movie, The Mask, a comic book adaptation that tapped into the mid to late 90s cultural obsession with swing music, zoot suits, and Cameron Diaz. The 94 original maintains a healthy rating in the aggregate and is generally remembered fondly. The 2005 sequel, released 11 years after the success of the original, and featuring none of the original cast, save for Ben Stein, maintains one of the worst ratings and is remembered for what it is: an aggressively awful dumpster fire of a movie.
Hey, how many times did you have to watch it to make this video? How many?
4 times. I've watched this movie 4 times in less than a week.
Oh, and it's a bad movie, you say? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I said I hate you.
Yes.
This movie is terrible, and I'm going to spoil the shit out of it. All right. All right, let's get this over with. Ben Stein is giving a museum tour to a handful of randos when Alan Cumming's Loki... No,
Loki.
not that one. Yes, it's the same Loki, I mean, Norse mythology and whatnot, but we're actually looking for... Yeah, that's the one. Okay, well, Ben Exposition Stein explains how Loki created the mask to imbue an individual with his powers.
The wearer of the mask is imbued with the powers of Loki himself,
in order to spread chaos among mankind. And as he is explaining all of this, the real Loki skulks about behind the tourists until the mockery of his sexuality.
Loki was the only one who could shapeshift, change his form, even turn himself into a woman.
Man alive, lock up your sons and daughters around that twisted piece of fruitcake, hey, Doc?
And the monotony of Ben Stein's voice drives him over the edge.
Well, I guess that's one way of putting it.
He loses his shit and throws a tantrum, causing the tourists to flee the museum. Upon retrieving his mask and finding out it's a fake, Loki removes Ben Stein's face before disposing of 4 museum guards and Tasmanian deviling off into the night. In a neighboring city, a dog named Otis finds the real mask floating in a river. This is a nod to the ending of the first movie, in which Stanley and Tina dispose of the mask by throwing it into a river. Okay. Otis brings it back home to his owner and best friend, Jamie Kennedy's Tim Avery. Tim and his wife, Trailer Howard's Tanya, are hanging out with friends and discussing parenthood. Tim, unwilling to entertain the idea of being a father, blacks out. Tanya drives her man-baby home, and Otis gives Tim the mask he found
Down by the river!
What's this?
Seeing it as nothing more than random junk, Tim tosses the mask aside and continues his questionable relationship with his dog. Meanwhile, Loki is on a tropical island enjoying himself until he is interrupted by Bob Hoskins' Odin.
Find that mask before I open up a can of fighting on you!
Bob Hoskins, really? Oh, that's sad. That's really sad. Okay, well, Odin orders his son to retrieve the mask before it causes any more trouble. Back at the Avery house, Tanya can't stop nagging Tim to have a baby, but Tim's all like, I'm an artist and I'm gonna make a show and babies are kind of scary and I don't know, maybe like at some point in the future, maybe when I've grown a pair of balls. Tim's not getting anywhere at his job and he's all depressed about it. And he can't find a good costume for the work Halloween party. So Tanya suggests he take the mask.
This is the crappiest piece of crap in Craptown.
Tim reluctantly takes it and heads off to the party. And just as he arrives, he inadvertently puts the mask on and transforms into a strange, green-faced character with supernatural abilities. He arrives at the work due just in time to save it.
You're just too good to be true.
The party is dying a slow death until Tim jumps on stage and performs an interesting rendition of Can't Take My Eyes Off You.
You're just too good to be true. Yeah, good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. I love you, baby.
No, don't you dare look away.
Out in the way that I stare, no one else who can compare.
Oh my god, it's like staring into the sun.
I love you, babe.
Okay, alright, that's enough of that. Let's move on. Psych!
This is the part where you boogie. This is the part where you dance.
Stephen writes Daniel Moss, Tim's boss at Animagine. Fucking Christ. Could we think of a more unimaginative name than Animagine? Oh my. So let's do that again. Stephen writes Daniel Moss, Tim's boss at Animagine, is thoroughly impressed and even inspired by the performance. And Tim returns home to bang his wife while wearing the mask.
That doesn't seem consensual.
Now, maybe you're a bit perplexed by what that means, so here, enjoy this graphic depiction of sperm infused with the mask's power swimming their way to Mrs. Avery's egg. This goes on for way too long. There he goes. What a champ. Tim's Halloween party antics earn him a promotion at work, and Tanya reveals she is pregnant. Immediately, there are indications that the baby isn't going to be normal. 9 months later, Tim and Tanya welcome little Alvy Avery into the world. And sensing the baby's birth, Odin freaks out and chastises his son for not being able to find the mask. He also reveals to his son the birth of Alvy.
So that sort of makes me kind of like a dad, huh?
And encourages Loki to
Find the baby, and you will find the mask.
Sometime later, Tim can't find the mask and Otis is feeling neglected. And on top of the grueling schedule of parenthood, Tanya is called out of town for work,
I can't do this.
You can't.
I can't.
You can't.
leaving Tim and Alvy to fend for themselves. Fearing for his new position at Animagine, Tim tries to work from home instead of taking the time off. He faces constant distractions and finds out that taking care of his son is a full-time job. Reluctantly, he plops Alvy down in front of the TV in hopes of distracting him for a little while, which turns out to be a pretty bad idea. Alvy watches old Looney Tunes and Flintstones cartoons and learns how to torment his father using his powers. And while all of this is happening, Loki is still out and about, hunting down the child born of the mask. And Otis accidentally dons the mask and turns into... Yeah, okay. This leads to an extended chunk of the movie being dedicated to Alvy's Michigan J. Frog routine.
If you refuse me, honey, you lose me. Then you'll be left alone, oh baby, telephone.
In which the baby tries to drive his father insane for no apparent reason.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
And Otis plots an elaborate revenge scheme like he's Wile E. Coyote making moves on the Roadrunner. It's madness. The movie quite literally transforms into a Looney Tunes cartoon for the majority of the second act. And sure, the whole movie is kind of doing that, but you can really feel the inspiration here. And wait a minute. Did anyone else notice that? Did Bryan Singer crib Quicksilver's slow-mo scene from Son of the Mask? Nah, probably not. I just thought it was funny. Although, come to think of it, I've heard Bryan does like young... Okay, that's not what this video is about. That's not what it's about. No. Okay. Holy shit, these two are still going at it. Let's check in on Loki and see how he's doing.
Hi. Would you like some thin chocolate?
Oh my god, what is going on in this movie?
This is insane!
Okay, well, eventually Loki finds his way to the Avery house. He's initially not convinced that Alvy is the child born of the mask, but as Tim leaves to take his son to the doctor, Loki is convinced otherwise. He follows Tim and Alvy to the city and confronts them on a crowded street,
Just give me my mask!
chasing and trapping them in an alley.
Just give me the mask.
I don't have it.
When Tim is unable to produce the mask, Loki attacks, but is thwarted by Alvi, and Tim possessed by Odin. Loki's powers are taken away as punishment for failing to find the mask. Disoriented by his confrontation with Loki, Tim forgets about a work commitment and rushes to the office, only to botch an important pitch meeting. He's summarily dismissed, fired, and escorted out of the building. But on the upside, at least his kid isn't trying to drive him insane anymore. Later, Loki returns and contacts his father in Alvi's room. That's weird.
I found the baby. He's right there.
He tells his father that this is the baby born of the mask, and he needs his power back to get the actual mask. So Odin is like, yeah, fine, whatever, and gives him his powers back. But only for a limited time. Loki then abducts Alvi and holds him for ransom, just as Tanya returns from her business trip.
Is that really you?
No, you idiot.
Tim then conveniently realizes that he's been neglecting his dog. He and Tanya go searching for him and find him masked up and romancing a neighborhood bitch. Tim apologizes and appeals to Otis for help saving Alvi. Otis agrees and gives Tim the mask. But when the exchange goes down and Loki gets what he wants, he refuses to return Alvi. Otis orders some street meat, and Loki loses his grip on the mask, giving Tim the opportunity to transform once again.
Okay! No more Mr. Nice Guy!
Tim and Tanya chase Loki through the city before meeting up in an arena for the final battle. Unfortunately, both opponents are evenly matched, forcing Loki to call a draw.
We're evenly matched opponents.
The God of Mischief suggests letting Alvi decide who he wants to go with.
Why, that's a swell idea.
Tim's son slowly makes his way toward Loki, until Tim removes the mask, revealing his true face. Alvi turns around and returns to his father. Furious over not being chosen, Loki throws a tantrum and attacks the Averys. But Tim holds off his assault hammer with the power of fatherhood? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Loki's powers run out and Odin drops in, ready to give his son a severe beatdown. But Tim is all like,
Listen up.
somehow Tim gets his job back and Tanya is pregnant again. The end. Let's talk about the good and the bad of Son of the Mask.
Cool. Lay it on me.
There's not a whole lot to like about the movie, obviously, but I'm going to do my best to recognize at least a few positives, like the runtime. Some bad movies are over 2 hours, and those are the ones that really make you question what you're doing with your life. But Son of the Mask clocks in at a trim 90 minutes, and it does end. It may not feel like it while you're watching it, but it does end. And while the special effects in this flick are wildly inconsistent, more on that in a minute, whoever was responsible for animating the dog did a pretty decent job. Keep in mind, this is from 20 years ago, and compared to a lot of the Uncanny Valley nightmares in this production, Otis with the mask on is worth a nod. Finally, Stephen Wright. I love Stephen Wright, one of my favorite comedians. An absolute legend.
Oh yeah. If we knew where the great ones came from, we'd go there every day, right?
Not the greatest actor, mind you, but I'll give a bonus point to any movie he pops up in. Yeah. And now for the bad. Let's get the basics out of the way. The script is awful, there's not a lick of good acting in the entire 90 minutes, the whole thing feels like a fever dream, the technical aspects, the editing, the score, the lighting, they all suck. Bad. It doesn't feel like a movie production. It feels like a kid's television show. I mean, why is every set decorated like it's straight out of Romper Room or Lazy Town? And what is up with the effects? I mentioned the dog earlier, but any gains made by Otis's animators are offset by whoever worked on that baby's mouth.
Mother.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You're freaking me out, man. In all seriousness, there's too much to cover in this video. I'm personally overwhelmed by how terrible this movie is. So I want to make sure I address one point in particular, one nagging complaint that I believe trumps all others. Jamie Kennedy.
Don't you just love Halloween?
Love him or hate him, 3 things are objectively true. 1, he's not leading man material. Probably because 2, he can't act or emote for shit, which is why 3, he was absolutely the wrong choice for this role. The prosthetics didn't help matters either. Jim Carrey had such control over his rubber face that he was able to create a compelling character in spite of the physical impediment. Jamie, on the other hand, is so over-encumbered by the crap on his face that this is the best performance we can get out of him.
Give me back my son!
Alright, we all know they're going to be abysmal, but let's see the review scores. Honestly, not low enough. No. If memory serves, the original Mask was based in a world that felt kinda real, and focused on a man who repressed his chaotic side. That's what made The Mask's possession of Stanley Ipkiss work. The Mask unleashed Stanley's id, and his powers manifested in a way that directly contrasted against the realism of the established world. That's why it was exciting to see. That's why all of us were able to sit through over 100 minutes of swing music. I'll give credit to the creators of this catastrophe for trying to bring a cartoon to life. They were clearly wearing their inspirations on their sleeves. T. Avery being an overt reference to Tex Avery, one of the original animators behind the development of Looney Tunes. Unfortunately, it doesn't work here. The slapstick is there, sure, but not the levity or the humor. Everything here feels at odds with the art form it's trying to emulate. It's just painfully unfunny. That's the real problem.
Ow.
It oscillates between excruciatingly boring and mind-numbingly chaotic, with absolutely zero intent on being witty or self-aware. It is a 1.5-hour ode to the golden era of animation that doesn't understand what made those cartoons magical. It's a movie that doesn't even understand its own audience. Who was this made for? I mean, it sure as shit wasn't made for fans of the original movie. Anyway, if you're looking for a bad movie to watch, it's a must-see. Otherwise, keep your distance, because Son of the Mask is a truly terrible movie. That's all, folks. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.
No. No.